Okay, first and foremost, we're going to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto the Most High God, Yahweh. We do so in the name of His only begotten Son, who the world calls Christ and Mashiach, Yahweh Shai. All right, so if y'all are familiar, I did a series of lectures last year called Viva Yasharahla. Viva Yasharahla is a series that is centered around who we identify as the northern tribes, the northern kingdom of Israel, who the world would call so-called Latinos, Hispanics, or Native Indians, right? So it is zeroing in on their history and where they are in prophecy and things of that nature. Because so many ignorant people out there go off of false pretenses and try to disqualify them from actually being a part of the 12 tribes of Israel. And frankly, if I can speak candidly, it's stupidity, right? There's no way to say that the so-called black man, West Indian man, Haitian man is an Israelite and discount the Latino man and the Native Indian man, because we have literally been stuck together in all and every aspect and walk of life for the last 500 years, right? Every time they talk about minorities, oh, minorities, what do they mean? What does minorities mean? Are Asians minorities? Are East Indians minorities? No. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Minority is, of course, the new way of saying nigga and spick. That's all it is. We know these things, right? Anybody with half a brain understands this. But people play games and they play dumb, and they're either just color struck or silly or uncultured, and they don't understand what's going on. So we want to address these things from a historical perspective and a scriptural perspective, and that's what this whole lecture series is about. Again, I already did 6 parts through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. This is reloaded. So now we're going to revisit, and we're going to go into some things that weren't covered in the previous 6 lectures tonight through the Spirit. So now, let's start. Next slide. Matter of fact, hold on. Before we go to the next slide, which you're on top of there, you're a little slow, right? Let's start with Deuteronomy 28:68. Then we're going to get my first slide. Deuteronomy 28:68. I'm going to go there first, right? Because this is the verse. This is the big Israelite verse. Everybody goes to this verse to identify the Hebrew Israelites, right? So let's go to this verse.
Deuteronomy 28:68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Egypt again with ships. We understand that Egypt is called the house of bondage. Egypt, when you break it down Hebraically, Matazarium or Mizraim in the Hebrew means what? Essentially, between a rock and a hard place. The place of double straits. The word Tazarium means rocks, right? Tazar, rock. And then when you add the yum, it makes it plural. Ma is with, meaning with the rocks. When we're with the rocks, we're in a rocky place. When we're going through unstable conditions, right? That's what it means. We were sent back into Egypt, not a literal country, but a condition in ships. Read on.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
He's letting you know you ain't going back into the country of Egypt, but you're going back into a condition. I told you ain't going to see that country again, but you'll see Egypt. Go ahead. It is on. All right, Salaki, y'all ain't missing much. Go ahead.
It says, thou shalt see it no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies.
And when you get taken to this rocky place on a ship, you will be sold unto your enemies. Right? Read on.
For bondmen and bondwomen.
So, brothers, close the book there. It is what it is. Black man, you've been sold. Black man, you've been sold. Black man, you've been sold. And oftentimes neglect the fact that Native American man, you've been sold. Mexican man, you've been sold. Puerto Rican man, you've been sold. Dominican man, you've been sold. South American man, you've been sold. We all have went through this exact same thing. All of us were somewhere. A white man came and put us on a boat and brought us somewhere else. When we got off that boat, we were forced to work for this white man. That happened to everybody on that chart that everybody is so jealous of that their elders didn't think about, that the Most High God didn't reveal to them. Right? We got to be honest here. The reason why people hate the chart so much is because they didn't think of it first. It ain't got nothing to do with anything else. It's a jealousy thing. Right? Because when that chart came to One West, it was a couple guys in a room. We're talking about in the 70s. When do we see One West reach peak prominence? 92? 92 is like the Israelite year. The 1992 Israelites, right? That's like, oh, now here One West comes and in the 90s. in the 70s, a couple of guys in a room come out with this chart. They don't really see the growth of that until over a decade and a half later, right? So because their elders, who at that time, a lot of these people, especially coming from the Negro-only community, they had black synagogues and all type of little thing. This brother's from Chicago. It's 1,000,001 of those things in Chicago right now. But the Most High wasn't dealing with any of them for that. He dealt with this small group of brothers, right? Coincidentally enough, these brothers are from, where did them brothers come from? Right? Before they came to Harlem, where were they from? Coming right here out of Florida, right? When you're dealing with Ariana, right? Because Ariana's mother is from what tribe? Reuben. Ariana's mother's a Reuben. You see what I'm saying? So they actually came from Florida, where we at now, went back up to New York. That's how full circle these things come in the spirit of the Most High. So a lot of the resistance to the chart is literal jealousy and envy. Their elders didn't come up with it, and sometimes if your elders didn't come up with it, you don't want to get down with it. Or if you didn't come up with it, you don't want to get down with it. But the humility is, what's right is right. Right? So if somebody comes and say, listen, this is what the scriptures say, you got to just get down with it. It don't matter who brought it to you. What's right is right. What's wrong is wrong. That's right. It's just that simple. And this happens to be right. And there's so many evidences to substantiate that in the spirit that have been brought out over the years, from the original breakdown to updates and deeper understanding that's been gotten on each of the breakdowns and the revelation of each one of these tribes since then. Right? But now, first slide. Where we at? Oh, you see that? That's a boat. You shall be brought into Egypt with ships. This is a ship. This was found a few years ago in the Yucatan Peninsula. Who know where the Yucatan Peninsula is at? Mexico, the Caribbean side of Mexico, not to be confused with the Pacific side of Mexico. Mexico, next slide. This is the recreation sketch of the boat. So this was late in the 1800s. So they already had steam-powered boats at this time. And this is a recreation of the boat. Keep going. The wreck of the Cuban-based paddle-wheeled steamboat was found in 2017, but wasn't identified until researchers from the National Institute of Anthropology and History checked contemporary documents and found it was the ship La Union. The ship has been used to take Mayas captured during an 1847 to 1901 rebellion known as the War of the Caste to work in sugarcane fields in Cuba. So here we have the Mayan, the indigenous peoples of the Central Americas, who are taken in slavery on a ship to Cuba to cut sugarcane. So when you say this makes you an Israelite, Deuteronomy 28:68, how can you then look at Central Americans and call them anything but an Israelite? Makes no sense, right? If that scripture makes so-called Negroes Israelites, it damn sure makes so-called Central Americanos Israelites. Next slide. The La Union was on a trip to Havana in September 1861 when its boilers exploded and it sank off the once important Yucatan port of Sisal. The Institute said the identification was based on the physical remains of the wooden hold side wheeler whose timbers bore signs of fire and whose boilers had exploded. The location of the wreck also coincides with contemporary accounts of the accident, which killed half of the 80 crew members and 60 passengers aboard. Here's what you have to understand, and here's when people kind of discount the spiritual aspect of what's going on and how in control of things that the Most High truly is. Here we have this boat, right? There were several boats that were used, right, for several different things. Several shipwrecks have been found in these areas over the last century, right? But the Most High made sure that there was enough of this boat intact, and there was going to be enough evidence to cross-reference contemporary sources to identify this boat and what its purpose was for, and for it to be found in 2017 and be reported on in 2020 for His divine purpose. And His divine purpose is, of course, to hush the naysayers. One of the primary arguments that people have but trying to discount the so-called indigenous peoples of the Americas as the Israelites is one of these points. And all of a sudden, when it's a hot topic in 2020, the Most High has us discover, or has the white man discover, right, and then verify it. This is not like just some random thing somebody's saying. When you take a look at, go to the previous slide, just take a look. The National Institute of Anthropology and History, right? Check contemporary documents. This is verified historically, right? When you deal with how you can actually verify things in academia, it's not based off of theory or assumption. You have there's channels that things have to go through. There are standards, there's criteria that has to be met. The Most High made sure all of these things were in place, so this can be undisputed in authenticity and fact. Go back to the other slide. Right then again, the Union was on a trip to Havana in September 1861 when its boilers exploded. The Most High orchestrated the boilers of this thing to explode. So this shipwreck can be found. So we can have this as further evidence to prove exactly what we're saying. Right. But you not only do you have Negroes that are denying these brothers being our brothers, you have brothers out there that have lost their mind and they're denying that the slave trade even happened. Right. What about that stupidity that's going on? But they go, where are the slave boats? Right. None of these Negroes open a book. They ain't been to a museum yet. They have them. And here's yet another one. Right? Read on. I mean, slide. Yeah, next slide. Right? Back over. Okay. In October 1860, the Union had been caught in neighboring Campeche state taking aboard 29 Mayas, including children as young as 7. That trip was apparently prevented, but clearly that didn't keep the ship from continuing its journeys, which also involved taking sisal fiber and paying passengers to Cuba. Archaeologist Helena Barbara Meneke noted that captured Mayan combatants were frequently sent to Cuba, from where many never returned. Each slave was sold to a middleman for 25 pesos, and they resold them in Havana for as much as 160 pesos for men and 120 pesos for women. She said sisal and iniquin were fibers used in making rope and were usually harvested by Mayans working in surf-like conditions on large plantations. Be the Guardian. Everybody knows the Guardian, right? So this is clearly what's happened. What happens? Read 2868 again. Read that bottom part. And actually start from the top.
This is Deuteronomy 28:68. And the Lord Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
So here they go, back into Egypt on a ship. Read.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
Read on.
And there ye shall be sold.
There they were sold for 160 pesos or 120 pesos. Read.
Unto your enemies.
Unto their enemies. The Spaniards. See, when you understand slavery and the abolition of slavery, where are the two last countries that slavery was legal at? Cuba and what's the other one? Brazil. Brazil and Cuba were the two last countries to end slavery. So when people hear that, they think about, all they think about is the so-called Negro in slavery. No, he wasn't the only person on plantations, right? There were other people. These people were still cutting cane in Cuba, right, for Spaniards, right? Captain.
In the last slide, it literally just said between 1860 and 1901. I was like, man,
1847 and 1901.
1847 and 1901.
Late.
Like, that was late.
That's late in the game.
Yes.
Because that's what was going on in Cuba. You see what I'm saying? In Brazil, they didn't really care about no outlawing and abolition. They wanted to keep that institution of slavery up and running because it was so profitable.
One more question. Do you think the people publishing this are non-Israelites?
Yes, it's the Guardian. This is a English publication.
Exactly. So I asked the question because what would be the incentive of an Englishman or English woman publishing things that pertain to what makes us Israelites?
And then it's not even calling, it's not like saying, oh, these are Israelites.
Exactly.
Just saying these people went into slavery on boats.
Boom.
Right? Raquan.
What makes this interesting is that there are people who probably think they're Manasserites that are really Zebulon.
Well, to be honest with you, even if there is, what you got to understand is that's called an outlier. Right? So there's going to be outliers in all tribes amongst all people, period. It's like there's Edomites amongst us. No matter how anybody looks. It's going to be an outlier. But as we can see here, if you go back, 29 Mayas were taken over here, right? So of 29, some of them might have died, some might have had kids, but see, that's minuscule compared to the greater Manassite population that already existed. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
After the Spanish-American War, what the Americans were doing was they brought over a lot of Manasserites from Cuba to Manassas, Virginia, and that's how the tobacco industry actually grew.
And how they cultivated it.
And I was kind of confused because there's a lot of people in that area who are really Manasserites saying they're Judah.
Well, it can be Judah, it can be Gad, etc. But that happens. But again, that's supposed to call outlier.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, if you compare them versus what's general. Anytime we're speaking, we have to speak in general because we can't speak particularly to every single individual ever, right? Without knowing them. So there's always going to be outliers, or there's brothers all the time that come to the truth and be like, oh yeah, I'm this tribe. And then they find out their grandfather came from somewhere else and they go, oh, this is the tribe. You see what I'm saying? But it's all right because it's all one nation anyway, right? And we know that when there's a separation of the nation, when the sheep are separated from the goats, Mashiach going to straighten everything out anyway, right?
Right.
Mom.
Am I allowed to speak?
Yeah, if you have a question.
Oh, okay. To take it back on what my brother Rakam just said, in Jamaica, for example, we have what we call the Obia man. And when you check that back, more than likely that's from Levi.
Well, so, in Jamaica, you have something called the Maroons in Jamaica. So the Maroons in Jamaica are Levites, right?
Look at that.
So when you go, that's why the Maroons in Jamaica live separately from Benjamin. We live on that. We live in suburbs. We have our whole own community. That's why, because we were able to do what? Defeat the English.
That's right.
Before everybody else, because that's a part of the prophecy that we would be able to thrust through the loins of he that hate us. See what I'm saying? That's why any successful rebellion, either it's a Levite rebellion or the Levites went and assisted that rebellion.
That's right.
See what I'm saying? Come on.
And they're not, and they don't. We're Jamaicans, but the Maroon people, they have their own government. They don't intermarry. They have their own customs. They're separated. Unless and if you marry somebody outside of, you know, if you marry like a heathen, you're not allowed. You're not allowed in their compound.
You see what I'm saying? I remember when
Very isolated.
Elder Mathapua, when one time he went back to Jamaica, he went and did a whole documentary with the Maroon Town and was breaking that down about how these other Levites. You know what I'm saying? The spirit, right? So but of course Levi is what? Scattered in all the tribes.
That's right.
So no matter where you got a tribe at, Haitian gonna find himself, or even if they ain't calling himself Haitian, right? Because even though the predominant thing of Levi are Haitians don't have a monopoly on being a Levi. They call us different things in different places. Like you might have a brother from Guadalupe, he act like he's not Haitian. You see what I'm saying? Nigga, you just from like down the street. You know what I'm saying? But he's still a Levite. You see, I'm still the same slave, right? Next slide.
Just like in teacher too.
Okay, just like in teacher one of Levi's extremely heavy. So here we have a picture of Native American protesters, right? And this is about stolen sisters, all right? This is something that's huge amongst the tribe of Gad. So-called Native Americans experience certain types of atrocities to this day at much more amplified levels than anybody else. As far as missing women, violence towards women, alcoholism, suicide, they experience all of this at much higher rates than all other people, and there's a reason. Go ahead. So now, an American researcher says First Nations, when you do with First Nations, that's what the Canadians call Native Americans. They call them the first, meaning the people who were here before the white man came and took it over, right? An American researcher says First Nations women from Thunder Bay, Ontario, have been sold on ships in the harbor at Duluth, Minnesota. Christine Stark said, the port at Duluth is notorious amongst First Nations people as a site for trafficking women. The master's student at the University of Minnesota, Duluth, said she has reports of women, teenage girls, and boys, as well as babies, being sold on ships for sex. Wait a minute. So not only do we have the tribe of Zebulon going through this late in the game, 1847, right? We've got the tribe of Gad going through this now. They're getting sold on ships now.
Where can we get that information?
This right here, when I get to the end of it, I'm gonna have a source for you. All you literally have to do is type in on your Google. This is a CBC article, I think. All you have to do is type in on your Google Native American women sex traffic ships. type that in your Google, there's going to be a plethora of information that's going to come out on this, right? So this is going on presently, right now, and people know about this, and they're doing nothing to stop this. Right. Women, teenage girls, boys, and babies, all being sold on ships right now. Real time, we all can see this, hear about this, etc. But of course, these people aren't Israelites. See, the Mongoloids, they came over and they replaced the real indigenous black man from America. See, it's a huge bye.
Right.
As like Deacon said, have a good night, brother.
That's right.
Have a good night. As we can see here, watch this. The women and children, and I've even had women talk about a couple of babies brought onto the ships, are sold to men on ships, are being sold or exchanging sex for alcohol, a place to stay, drugs, money, and so forth, Stark said. It's quite shocking. Next slide. And they have cast lots for my people. Joel 3:3. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink.
All right.
I mean, these ain't the people in the Bible, man. You know, this is a conspiracy. Again, they came over to Bering Strait, and they're really Chinese people.
Right,
and
right.
you know what I mean?
Or Egyptians.
Or they're doing that. Yeah, we just heard they're Egyptians now, right? And this is exactly why it's to a point where I don't even want to have a conversation with people who believe in this madness.
That's right.
Because it's like, brother, I'm at such a place where we've done so much study and research. You're an idiot at this point. And you're not just an idiot, you're the worst type of idiot, because it's not like you just don't know something, you need somebody to put you on game. You refuse to deal with facts.
Right.
It doesn't even, the facts are like, to hell with the facts. How I feel, see, but a brother once told me something called perception supersedes reality. And that's what's dangerous in certain people's minds. No matter what the reality is, their perception is their reality.
Right.
Right? And that's why they live in such false realities.
They're belligerent in their ignorance.
Belligerent in ignorance. What a rhyme that is. You see what I'm saying? Just belligerent in ignorance. And you just, I would just rather be ignorant than know anything. Right, Mom?
There's another term that is called cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, no, exactly. They're having that struggle. It's a mental struggle that's going on where they just can't accept it. Our people are just straight. What is that? Denialism. That's also denialism. People suffer from denialism, right? Psychologically. Next slide. Stark said the sex trade on ships has been going on for generations and includes indigenous women from Canada. The reason that indigenous women and girls are sometimes trafficked has to do with all of these ongoing issues like poverty, right? She said, another one away, I thought all of them had a casino and they got reparations. Right? That's more stupidity that people propagate. Number one, just a quick sidebar tidbit. Not even half of the Native American tribes in America are even federally recognized. Before you get a check, you have to be first federally recognized. So half of them are not even federally recognized tribes. Who's seen the movie Twilight before?
Yes.
Twilight, right? Twilight. Remember Twilight, you got a guy named Jacob Black. He turns into a wolf. Yep. That's based off of an actual tribe. I grew up with that tribe in the state of Washington. They don't get a check. They're not federally recognized. They don't have a casino or any of those things, right? It's like several other tribes that exist out there. If not even half of them are federally recognized, and of the federally recognized ones, not all of them have casinos, then people don't even understand how they get a casino on their land, right? We've all seen that guitar, right? Y'all think the Reubenites built that guitar? No, the Reubenites got to get with a white company that then gives them a loan to build that guitar, right? Now, when you start collecting casino revenue, of course you have a loan that has an interest rate on it. That a lot of that revenue is going back to the white man.
That's right.
And then all these Reubenites got to split that up. That's about the equivalent to HUD.
Right.
It's about the equivalent to a project building for a lot of these people. Then a lot of our brothers will be at the top of these tribes. If it is a brother and not a tear that slipped in there, will get to the top of these tribes. Of course, let greed and corruption corrupt him, and he'll rob from his people like so many others that hate their own.
That's right.
And of course, then the tribe at the bottom is going to be just have nothing. And that's what happens in these tribes. Not, oh, everybody got a check.
Right.
You might see the chief driving around in a Rolls Royce like you saw your pastor driving around in a Rolls Royce.
That's right. Exactly.
But just like the parishioners of that church, the members of that tribe, they're broke. You see what I'm saying? This ain't nothing new. It's what our people do, Mom.
And another thing, if you pay close observation, you start doing a bit of checking into how the corporation is set up, you'll discover that most of the people that are running these casinos are those $5 Indians.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what happens with this. Listen, Kat, give a testimony. You got a testimony on $5 Indians.
Come on now.
Your ex's brother, best friend. The white boy used to have a.
Oh, yeah, pretty much his mother is like 88% native, but the father is, I'm talking about full-fledged Edomite, and he's getting like 20 grand a month.
The curse.
This is the kid.
He makes 20 grand a month.
This is the kid that's getting 20 grand a month.
And then, not to mention, he's getting 20 grand a month, and then he wants to sell drugs.
Well, to take that 20 grand.
Because he wants to be like an Israelite.
Yeah, an Israelite.
You know?
Ain't that something? 20 grand a month and decides, I'm not going to start a business. Oh, I'm going to start a business. It's going to be the drug business. Ain't that something?
Full experience.
See that? You see what I'm saying? But here that Edomite is, and he's getting 20 grand a month off the tribe. How many members of that tribe are getting $20,000 a month? Not many, if any. See what I'm saying? Go ahead.
A lot of times when we go into Deuteronomy 20:54, your eyes shall be, his eyes shall be evil towards his brother, towards the wife of his bosom, and towards the remnant of his children, which he shall lead. A lot of times we just kind of separate his eye being evil towards his children as if, his eye being evil towards his brother, as if it's just going to be a violent thing between two Israelite brothers.
Come.
But like Chief just broke out, it's going to be one Israelite, if it is an Israelite at the top, that works his way and things fall in his favor, he gets to the top, he's going to leave his brothers. He's not going to go and do for them and join himself unto them so that he can then, everybody can receive that kind of, a vast amount of profit from what he's profiting. He's going to leave them. He's going to go and get down with the Edomites, the heathens, and start to make that money. He's never going to look out for them. So a lot of times we got to look at it like that. We get into a position of power or economic wealth, and we'll leave our people. That's another way our eye is evil, and we become selfish in the way that we, deal with success.
That's right. That's right.
Uplift mobile blacks moving to the burbs, man.
Exactly. And it's going, hey, forget about them niggas. You know what I'm saying? Right. I got out. Hey, I got out. Yeah. You got to too. Go ahead.
Again, brothers move to the burbs, and then the taxes that they pay is only going to go towards their community. You see what I'm saying? It's like, that stuff be crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's when you start getting into red line.
That's when you start getting into
all kind of stuff. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And some of our people don't understand. To us, it's like, we're in this horrible position. We got to get out of this. I got to get out. I've got to, escape this. But you don't realize, nah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, this is not a good position, but you should be working to attempt to better your position. Like some people say, okay, some brothers, you got to go do what you got to do. Get educated, you know what I'm saying? Set yourself up financially, but then you're supposed to come and give back. You're supposed to help this place, not just like, okay, I'm going, you niggas figure out how you're going to escape this hole. No, let's make it not a hole anymore. But brothers ain't thinking about that. Brothers just be in it for self all the time, and that be the problem, right? Right? Okay. No. I didn't finish this slide. So it said the sex trade on ships has been going on for generations and includes indigenous women from Canada. The reason that indigenous women and girls are sometimes trafficked has to do with all these ongoing issues like poverty, she said. Another one of the large risk factors for indigenous women and girls is the lack of housing. Wait a minute, they got all this money going into the tribes. How come they don't have a place to live? Right. How come they're in poverty? Women will sometimes engage in survival sex, not of their choice, in order to have somewhere to live. Right? Keep going. Next slide. Boom. Exactly. And then now, you know what? I mean, our people don't even realize it's a lot of. Go back to the slide real quick before we can jump to the next one. Right? Tremendous point, though. You have an uptake in sisters. It's a more sophisticated form of survival sex, but it's still survival sex, right? And you know who some of the top so-called or top Israelite women that are dealing with the so-called white man right now, there's an uptake that I've paid close attention to. Haitians and Jamaicans coming to America and getting the white man, right? And that survival sex, because they say, I'm from a third world country, I'm from poverty. In order for me to survive or live better, I've got to get with the people who have the most economic advantage, right? But when we're taught this capitalistic mentality is driven into our head, it's actually the logical conclusion to come to. If you buy into America and you got to work hard, or these particular people are the only people who really succeed the most, when you buy into that, the logical conclusion to come to is, well, I got to get with one of them then.
True.
Because these are the people that have all the advantage. Why would I get with anybody else? See, but that's why this is how we got to cut it off at the root.
True.
Because we don't even realize when we start telling our kids, our children, our people these certain things, that if they're logical enough, they're just going to be like, oh, well, what am I doing with you niggas? I got to go get with them. I got to join myself to them. That's the same way, like when we have our kingdom under our king, everybody going to be like, yo, we got to go join ourselves to these guys. We got to follow their ways. We got to worship their God because they're winning. If Esau's winning and you're like, well, we got to get like him, well, to hell with getting like him, I got to go get with him. You see what I'm saying? Mom, and then
I totally support you in this, Chief, because I've watched in my lifetime, in a couple of years I'll be 70 years old, I've watched in my lifetime what you're saying to be true. Because there was a time you could not bring home, as a black woman, you could not bring home a white boy.
That's right.
And as a black man, you could not bring home a white girl.
That's right.
We call them pork. We said, don't bring it home.
No.
My son, no, he could not bring that home.
That's
Let me
right.
tell you straight up.
That's right.
And we're talking
He's
about
right
present
there.
time.
Yeah.
He knew this, he knew this. And where was that coming from? That was coming from, but we have watched what you're saying to be absolutely true. Because we're talking about it in the community. That these Jamaican girls, they're going towards these heathen dogs, and the men are going to the other mongrel, we call them. You understand?
That's right.
So what you're saying, I totally know to be the truth. Not just talk, it's straight up
It's
the truth.
We've
Straight up
observed
the
it.
truth.
It's not just with us, but if you look at American immigrants across the board,
Exactly.
they stay either to their own or they assimilate to the dominant force, which is white people.
That's
So
right.
it's ingrained in their mind, like, yo, what are you doing?
That's right, because the Asian woman, she gonna come over here, she's looking for Esau. The East Indian woman come over
But
here,
any of them that are
she's trying to
prominent,
get Esau.
everyone that's on the newscast or whatever, look at their spouse.
That's right. 'Cause
Kamala
they feel
Harris
like,
did the same thing, no
See
matter
that?
what she is.
hey, listen, she gonna get with Esau no matter what, and even in too because her mom is East Indian, and when you go to Jamaica, Trinidad, Esau might not be as accessible, but guess who is the accessible heathen that has more success than you? The East Indian got it, or the Asian got it. You see what I'm saying? That's prominent on the islands, right? Like you said, our people are all looking who's the dominant force, right? They're looking for the easy way out, and that's nothing but a sophisticated version of simple survival set, right? So now, next slide. Where we at? Okay. Spaniard Hernandez Escalante Fontanito said Indians were all to be taken, placed on ships, and scattered. Wait a minute. Wait. Is this the Bible? Is this the Bible? No, this is Indian slavery in colonial times, right? But it sounds like the Bible, right? But these ain't the people of the Bible. Okay.
Right.
Spaniard Hernandez Escalante Fontanito said Indians were to be taken, placed on ships, and scattered throughout the various islands and even Spanish Main, where they might be sold as His Majesty sells his vessels to the grandees of Spain. So he said, you sell them just like you sell any other item. You take them to Spain and you sell them, right? Again, this is via the Indian slavery in colonial times within the present limits of the United States. Next slide, right? Chief Martin of the Carrillo Nation complained to the Spanish in 1576. This is long before 1619. 1576. That the Portuguese of southern Brazil were carrying their children off to the other parts of Brazil and then to Portugal to be sold as slaves. A Jesuit witnessed in 1635 a slave raid using 15 seagoing ships and many large canoes designed reportedly to secure 12,000 slaves from the Carrillo Nation. One must suppose that many were to be secured for sale outside of Brazil. Americans soon appeared in the Portuguese colonies in Africa, so they took them not only to other parts of the Americas, not only to Europe, they took these Northern Kingdom brothers back to Africa.
Come on now.
Come on now.
In colonies in Africa and in Cabo Verde Islands. What is Cabo Verde known as today?
Cape Verde.
Cape Verde is where you got the people known as the Cape Verdeans, right?
Wow.
Your brothers is up over there too.
That's right.
That's a lot of tears over in Cape Verde. Those you got to really start ask that genealogy when you meet the Cape Verdeans, because there's a whole lot of people who daddy's just a straight white boy. Like what's her name? Amber Rose, right?
Yeah.
Cape Verdean, but she'll tell you her pop's a straight Irish dude, right?
Oh wow.
But Cape Verde is right with our people, that island off the coast of Africa. So again, it's because that was like a stop. Sometimes they'll take the slave and they'll just stop leaving there, right? And in this case, they took Northern Kingdom, sent them back there. So again, Americans soon appeared in the Portuguese colonies in Africa and in the Cabo Verde Islands. Americans were introduced in the Portuguese African outposts soon after 1500. It's way before 1619. They already were bringing indigenous people back to Africa. This is via Africans and Native Americans, the language of race, and the evolution of the red-black peoples. Notice this book is about the red-black, meaning this is one people. This book is acknowledging, even with the absence of acknowledging Israelite identity, that these two groups of people are truthfully one people. Next slide. Now, this is a picture from Puerto Rico. As you can see here, it's all these rocks that's been found. Right? And this is part of the 800 Hebrew artifacts that were discovered out there on the Isle of Puerto Rico. Right? Next slide. So, as we see a possible origin of mysterious figures, a cache of 600-year-old statuettes may be the first evidence of a lost civilization. Notice the civilization is not lost. The civilization was conquered. Okay? That's what happened. It's not lost. And are said to have been discovered deep in the Puerto Rican mountains. Here in this mountainous area, usually most of the cities, of course, in Puerto Rico are coastal, right? But then you had this mountainous region. That's where they found these figurettes, right? Next slide, man. I'm so used to saying read. So, just so y'all can see, these are some recreation sketches of what was found on the figurines, right? This is a small picture, so it is a little pixelated. Apologies, but I just want y'all to compare these symbols here to these Paleo-Hebrew symbols that we see here, right? And you'll start to look at the shot, right? That's clearly right there. Now, we ain't even got to guess about that. There ain't no guesswork there, right? You said what?
The
See that? The quad at the top. See what I'm saying? All over it, like the iron. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
This stuff is all here, and this is what the Ephraimites had before the white man ever came over there. We see that our people had this, right? This is archaeology, man.
That's right.
When you start dealing with in academia, you got to understand something, man. Carvings, pottery, that's what don't lie, right? That's what you can't dispute. The pottery, the carvings. This is what we can see here, right? All through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, right? And all praises to him. He left all this behind so we can find it and we can, because number one, a lot of us, we didn't even necessarily get none of the historical aspect. The scriptures alone was enough to seal the deal for us, being spiritual, understanding this. But then, the Most High, he's so generous, he goes, I'm going to give y'all the history and the archaeology side. I'm going to give y'all all that too. So y'all can couple that with it.
That's right.
So if somebody's a natural man and not a spiritual man, guess what? You got the proof for them too.
That's right.
That's how gracious and powerful of a power we have. Right? Next slide. So here, we got some more archaeology. This is Mayan archaeology. What's this earring he got on? Some of y'all might not can see it that bad. The shield. What they call the shield of David, Star of David, the lily, the pomegranate, all that. This is another one of them. It's about only half of one because that top half was broken off. Right? So we see them adoring this. This is it on the Elephantine Island, right? Same thing, because some people go, that was never our sign. But this is the island, this is the Elephantine community, right? Elephantine communities talked about all the way back from the time of David, right? When David said, we have a community on the island in Egypt, it's Elephantine. Something called the Elephantine Papyri you can read about. The Israelites use all the way back there. Wow. So we've been using this symbol, all right? People get simple about this symbol. I don't care what the white man did with it. This been our symbol before the white man ever got his grubby paws upon it. All right? All the way back here to Elephantine, right? Next slide. So now here are the Gadites.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
That's right.
That's right.
So there's a there's about 1 million. We could probably get 1 million pictures of Gadites with this thing.
Right.
About 1 million. And the question is, how did the Mayans and the Native Americans had this symbol? Did we see Israel? How?
That's right.
How did they get it? How did they know about it? What a coincidence that this is the only other place in the earth where we see people using this. And these same people, they happen to have fringes on.
That's right.
That's right.
And these same people happen to be going in slavery on ships to this very day.
That's right.
That's right.
But they're not Israelites, brother.
No.
You have to be an
Secret Moabites, I guess.
You have to be an E1B1A Negro.
Bring that out.
Go
Bring
ahead,
that out.
Cat.
Remember we was at the powwow, and they called it a lily.
No,
Wow.
listen.
And
We
didn't
go to
want
the
us take a
powwow.
picture of it either.
Exactly. You said what?
And didn't want us to take a picture.
They didn't want
of it
to, and they literally called it Lily. Then guess what? A sister that we know went to Ghana, right? And she came back with these necklaces with the shield. And you know what she said? She's like, you know they call them in Ghana? They just call it a lily. It's just a lily symbol. Like, this ain't no Jewish people. I mean, this is like some brothers in Ghana, and they just make this lily out of ebony wood, and they just, this is just a lily. You see what I'm saying? That same lily work that Solomon put in his temple.
That's right.
What is it? It's that right there. That's what Solomon had in his temple.
That's right.
And we call it a lily, right? Which is the Hebrew word Shoshana, right? The root of the Hebrew word Shoshana is the word 6 in Hebrew, right? For them 6 points. But wait, the 6-point star is of the devil. And no. God's favorite flower is called 6.
That's right.
All right? That's what this is symbolizing, man. Right? Next slide. So this is another one. So here we got the tree of life symbol, old world bas relief, mirror handle, and Hazor Israel. Hazor is in the northern part of Israel where the northern kingdom was. Tree of life symbol, stele 5, the Izapa stone, Izapa, Mexico. Woo! Woo! Look at that. Same damn symbol. Same damn symbol, man. You can't mess with this archaeology.
That's right.
These niggas talking about some E1B1A, man. Listen. Like somebody's scared of your E1B1A, man. Listen, you believe in the Bible, nigga. All right?
Bring that
I'm going
out.
to hurt your DNA evidence really bad.
Bring that out.
Or do you believe in the Bible? Because if you believe Adam and then you believe that 8 people made it through the flood, I'm going to hurt your DNA argument, period. Right? Because according to them, haplotypes take 14,000 years to develop. Oh, I'm going to hurt you, brother. We ain't worried about that at all. I got archaeology, and more importantly, I got prophecy.
Right.
But I got plenty of archaeology. Mom in the back.
And just to know, the Father has a way to show stuff by way of concreting it. Because when I was in school, they taught us about the Arawak Indians. And on the Jamaican coat of arms, out of many one people, is the Arawak and the Carib. But they told us that they became extinct.
They said
How
that.
convenient was that?
Exactly.
They're the Tainos.
They say they're extinct.
Yes, they say they're extinct on
But I see
the
them.
Jamaican coat of arms. If you pull up the Jamaican coat of
Because
arms,
those are the people that
it's going to
preach
show
in
you the
Jamaica.
Arawaks on one side, the Indians, the Caribs on the other side,
Come.
out of many one people. So we know that they were there at that point on the land also,
And
brought on
intermingle.
ships.
Exactly.
Brought on ships.
Exactly. That's a good point. That's a
All
good
right
point. Or
now.
else why would, if it was how do many people won, then how the hell are they extinct?
Come on now.
Oh, makes sense, right?
Come on.
Next slide. The claim, oh God, you go back a slide. They're not ready for that slide. I don't even know if y'all ready. I'll show you. Look.
Bring it out.
Y'all gotta buckle up for this slide, man. All right, because not only does this prove, it prove a lot in the spirit of the Most High. Go ahead and get it with it. They claim Yahweh. Hold on. They claim what? Yahweh.
Hallelujah.
They claim Yahweh.
Whoa. Okay now.
See that?
Oh.
We say Yahweh now. Was the name of the great king. He was a man, yet a spirit. A great and glorious being.
Oh, wow.
His name was never mentioned in common talk, right? This great king commanded them to rest the 7th day.
Oh, come on, man.
That's right.
They're not Israelites, bro. I want to know when damn Ephah told you niggas to rest the 7th day, man. Right. All right? Right? A great and glorious being. His name was never mentioned in common talk. This great king commanded them to rest the 7th day. They were told not to work on this day, and that they should devote it to talking about God. This is the origin of the American Indians.
Oh, wow, man.
Next slide.
That's right.
Yahweh created the world in 7 days. At the time of the creation, all people were made from the ground and the same color as the ground.
Wow.
They had teachers. You see that? They had teachers and prophets that taught them to obey God and their parents. They warned people of an approaching flood, but said that the world would be destroyed by water only once.
Oh, come on now.
God.
And that later it would be destroyed by fire. Listen, when God would send a shower of pitch and then a shower of fire, which would burn up. Wait a minute.
Come on now.
Bring that out.
Hold on. How did they know this,
Oh my
Come on
God.
now.
I thought they weren't the Israelites.
Okay.
They have. Here's what you don't understand. We got the Bible. Where's give me the Bible. We got the Bible, right? Now we know that the northern kingdom came to this side of the earth, and the southern kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, we kept writing this book, and this is the book we got. But the Most High did send the northern kingdom prophets also.
That's right.
They had men that had revelation and spoke to their people. See what I'm saying? So they were getting prophecies over here as well. If you go to my if you see the previous editions of Viva Yasharahla, where I go into it says Jesus in the Americas. If you go watch that one, I go and show that Issachar and Zebulun also had prophecy of Yahushua coming back to the earth for a judgment. They called them by different names, Kokokin, Quetzalcoatl, Ballin, Yokote, things of that nature, but they had those prophecies. So the Most High raised prophets up for the northern kingdom as well, Officer Rob.
Also the fact that the Sakari brought it to the Cherokee.
Exactly. The Cherokee Indian can say the Sakari came over here and taught them, said the Sakari.
The Sakari.
Right? Didn't say this, you see what I'm saying? We're not just saying it was the Sakari now. I said it was the Sakari. Right.
It's actually the Cherokees that claim that, not any English scholars.
Sources even claim or believe that.
They said it.
That the Sakari came over here and taught them about Christ. Remember Yahushua, he said, go forth now into all nations and teach my name. Teach what I taught you. So, bro, what you thought they didn't go into all nations? Hey, some brothers, we knew how to get over here, right? The northern kingdom didn't just get over here by mistake or by accident. They knew about this place and they knew how to get over here. Well, guess what? Some of us that were still over here, over on the other side of earth, Salakia, knew how to come over here too and came here, right? And taught brothers. And prophecies went out. Next slide. When this is another source about another group of Gadites, be the 10 tribes of Israel. When they meet at night, it is professed to be gladdened and unite their hearts before Yehovah. They say Yehovah shy with great energy.
Whoa.
The first word is nearly in the Hebrew characters the name of Joshua or Savior. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Is this crazy or what? Not only, and this is the deep thing about it, they're not speaking in Yiddish, right? They're speaking in more forms, like when we go to that previous slide, they're literally saying Yahweh, right? And this one, they're pretty close. Yehovah shot. You see what I'm saying? They're getting pretty close. So notice that this works also cohesively to help us understand how to pronounce the most ancient form of Hebrew. Because when we look at people who have the least amount of tampering with them in their culture, right? Because usually when the so-called Jewish man finds out that a group of people are identifying as Israelites and they have some type of relevance to that argument, they show up there and they immediately Judaize them. They immediately set up a damn synagogue there and they put them under the confines of rabbinical Judaism. They did this all throughout Nigeria, right? And then they told the Nigerians that the Nigerians are Gadites. And then a silly Negro only that don't know no damn Nigerians comes to you and goes, see, the Native Americans not the Gadite, even though they calling on the name of the Lord. They call on the name of the Son. They went into slavery on ships. They're going into slavery right now. They're not that. The Nigerians who ain't been on a ship nowhere, right? They're the real Gadites. But they don't even understand that the whole reason that any of them began to call themselves Gadites because the white man won't let them be Judah and Levi.
Right.
And they're saying if you are going to be a tribe, you got to be a northern kingdom tribe, and we'll let you take Gad. That's how that even happened. It doesn't happen. They didn't never call themselves Gad. Because when you actually talk to the ones who haven't been Judaized, they only identify as southern kingdom tribes. Elder Mathath was over there in Africa right now. He's told me this personally.
That's right.
None of them identify as northern kingdom tribes over there unless they've been Judaized.
Wow.
All of them identify Judah, Benjamin, or Levi.
Wow.
And then they ask, well, where do you think the northern kingdom is? And they give varying answers. They don't know. The Most High gave that to us at the place that they love to hate, 1 West 125th Street.
That's right.
They hate us so much. They hate us because they hate us, but they just need to join.
That's right.
Because we didn't make ourselves great.
That's right.
The Most High exalted.
That's
The
right.
Most High gave the understanding. That ain't nobody's fault. I know, Kahan, you just got in the room, but I'll say it was just a couple guys in the room. That's it. And the Most High gave revelation to just a humble group that built great, but it just was a couple guys in the room at first. And they mad about that. All right? Madness. Next slide. Real quick, a few of the Cherokee high holy days that are parallel with Israelite holidays. The first of the full moon of spring. Wait a minute. We know the spring is the beginning of the year, right? So then we know on the 14th day in spring, right, which is the new moon, right? I mean, full moon, right? There's a special day for us, right?
Right.
Coincidentally, it's called the Passover. Here they got it, first full moon of spring. The Mature Corn Festival, the Feast of First Fruits.
That's right.
Wow. The Great New Moon or the Harvest Moon, which parallels with trumpets. Anytime you look up that new moon that comes around during the time of Feast of Trumpets, the world calls it like the corn moon or the harvest moon.
That's right.
Always, right? So they celebrated these things in direct correlation with how the Most High commanded us to celebrate our high holy days. This is of no coincidence, of course. What slide we on? What's the number on the slides? Let me get a check. 22. Okay, next slide. It's the last slide, right? This will be a book, a source called Peruvian Antiquities. There's a lot on here, right? We're going to get into this. Like the Jews, the Indians offer their first fruits. They keep their new moons and the feast of expiation at the end of September or in the beginning of October. They divide the year into 4 seasons, corresponding with the Jewish festivals. According to,
Chabelos.
No, that ain't it. That's a French word. Oh, Charlevaux? Charlevaux, yes, that's it. Charlevaux, that's somebody's last name, and long. The brother of a deceased husband receives his widow into his house as a guest, and after a suitable time considers her as a legitimate consort, right? There is a much analogy between the Hebrews and Indians, and which concerns various rites and customs, right? So again, the brother of a deceased husband, right? So a sister who's now widowed receives his widow into his house, right? It's called levirate marriage, Deuteronomy 25, right? Into his house as a guest, and after a suitable time considers her a legitimate consort. It just becomes her husband, right? There is also much analogy between the Hebrews and Indians, in that which concerns various rites or rituals and customs, such as the ceremonies of purification, the use of the bath, because crackers, they don't use that. The ointment of bear's grease, fasting, and the manner of prayer. The Indians likewise abstained from the blood of animals, and also from fish without scales.
Wow.
They consider diverse quadrupeds unclean, birds and a 4-footed beast, and also certain birds and reptiles. And they are accustomed to offer as a holocaust, right? Meaning a burnt sacrifice. That's all that means, right? The firstlings of the flock. Acosta and Emmanuel de Moraes relate that various nations allow matrimony with those only of their own tribe or lineage. This being, in their view, a striking characteristic, very remarkable and of much weight. But that which most tends to fortify the opinion also to the Hebrew origin of the American tribes is a species of ark, similarly like that of the Old Testament. This is, Indians take with them to war. So they had a similar thing to the Ark of the Covenant that they would go out to war with, just like we would. It is never permitted to touch the ground, but rest upon stones or pieces of wood, it being deemed sacrilegious and unlawful to open it or look into it. The priests scrupulously guard their sanctuary, and the high priest carries on his breastplate a white shell adorned with precious stones.
What?
You gotta read that one.
No, brother, this is just,
Listen, we're making it.
You know, I just wrote this morning.
Right.
I made this up this morning. All right. This is
crazy.
that's a lot. I duped all of y'all. You know, whatever. Right. So again, it said the priests scrupulously guard their sanctuary, and the high priest carries on his breastplate a white shell adorned with precious stones, which recalls the Urim of the Jewish high priest, of whom we are also reminded by a band of white plumes on his forehead. So, a lot to unpack here. So much to unpack. So here we see the offering of first fruits. We see the observance of new moons. We see a feast that corresponds with, of course, the blowing of the trumpets, which I covered in the last slide, right? The year is divided into the seasons and the high holy days that occur in these seasons, right? We see deliberate marriage here, right? Which concerns the various rites. We see the purification ceremonies that have various similarities, because, of course, we know purification was a very important thing when you deal with the law. When you look in the law, there's always very specific, okay, you did this, you need to bathe in this way for the next 3 days, for the next 7 days, etc. We see this all the time emphasized. They have similar things in their culture, right? What we have, boom, boom, purifications of bath, fasting, of course, the manner of prayer. So when it says the manner of prayer, because you know the world tells you to do what? To pray. Pray like this, right? We know, of course, in Scripture we don't see prayers happen like this. We see people literally lifting out their arms unto the Most High, or just total in bowing down to the Most High. So this must have been what they observed amongst the Native Americans, because that's drastically different than what they do in Christianity, right? The Indians likewise abstain from the blood of animals, right? Which you know is very peculiar to the so-called white man observing this. They just want you to feast upon blood, right? And also from fish without scale. I mean, come on.
Come on.
What I mean, because even the Muslims, they don't do that.
Right.
Even the Muslims don't even do that. This is something very unique and specific to the Israelites, to abstain from fish without scales.
That's right.
They consider diverse quadrupeds unclean, four-footed beasts, right? Remember now, when it says quadruped, remember what Peter sees. He sees all manner of four-footed beasts. That's a quadruped, right? Quadruped feet, right? And also certain birds and reptiles. And they are accustomed to offer as a holocaust, a burnt offering, the firstlings of that flock. They understood the importance of taking the first thing that the Lord blessed you with and giving it to Him, and having that faith, that act of faith, to show that you know He's going to bless you more, right? What we have, firstlings of the flock. Acosta relate. Various nations allow matrimony with only those of their own tribal lineage. This is important, especially dealing with Numbers 30, right? When a man has not an heir, those daughters that he have cannot marry outside of that tribe. That's right. They can't leave. You know why? Because if I'm a Levite, now here I am taking the Gadite land now. Now I done took over Gad. Now Gad don't got no damn land. You see what I'm saying? So she can't do that. She's a Gadite. Her father only had daughters. Guess what, sis? You got to keep it in the tribe. I don't care how much you like Levites. All right? Now, I get it, sister, but you know, you got to stay with Gad, man. You got to stay with Gad.
Real talk.
Right? You know, I got love for your pops. You know what I'm saying? I can't just go and take his land like that. That ain't my land, right?
Real talk, brother.
Right, so a very remarkable Salakia. It says, boom, but that which most tends to fortify the opinion is having that Ark of the Covenant and carrying it into war. Mm-hmm. We know that nobody else do that like that. We know that come from us. Yeah. I mean, that's clear. Right, and that's why they says, more than any of this, even if you strike the rest of it up to coincidence, that is probably the least coincidental. And then when you deal with the garments of which the high priest, which you Gadites, give me the book, give me that, you know what I need. Give me 1 Kings. Because I'm building you Gadites up. I love you so much. It's great. You're so great. But I'm going to tell y'all something, man. When y'all carry this ark around and y'all putting on these garments, man, this ain't the first time they did this. And they wasn't supposed to do this. Now, I understand they try to keep the customs and the culture, but they misstep with this. Right? I need that quick precept. Look at him. He know what I want. What's that? I just put that in the chat. That's 1 Kings 12 and 31.
Yeah, I'm there.
That's it. It just hit me.
1 Kings chapter 12.
Microphone.
Okay, 1 Kings chapter 12. Of high places, and made priest of the lowest of the people.
It say he did what?
Made priest of the lowest of the people.
Who were what?
Which were not of the sons of Levi.
That's what they've done here. They made priests who were of the lowest of the people, not the sons of Levi. All right? You Gadites ain't had no business with no Urim or no breastplate or none of that. You did it when it's helped us understand you're Israelites, so I'm going to give y'all a pass. But y'all know y'all ain't had no business, man. Carrying no makeshift ark. Most High destroy y'all playing with that ark. You know only anybody can touch that ark.
Right. Look, they said it was a white shell.
Yeah, that shell, they didn't got the real gold. They was like, man, remember what's that thing them Levites had there? It was white. Now, just put it on there. You see what I'm saying?
We had to improvise, man. We had to improvise.
Like I said, they're rehearsing, so we're going to stall them out. We're going to stall them out. Yeah. Right? But you know, this is being proven in antiquity, so people can check out the source on that. You know, and this concludes, you know, the lecture, the presentation. I hope this, and I encourage everybody, even if you've already seen the previous editions of this lecture series, because I believe it's about 6, right? Rewatch them, because there's a lot of information on there, and it's very helpful to incorporate that in our daily and everyday teaching, so we could really understand and get all the meat off the bone with these scriptures, because the parallels that have happened to each and every tribe in both kingdoms, they're just all there. It's all happened to all of us, so we need to always mention that. Like if you're talking to a Judite brother, or if you're talking to an Ephraimite brother, yes, of course you're going to say, yes, this happened to you. You experienced this, but it didn't only happen to you. It happened to your Puerto Rican brother also.
That's right.
That's what unifies our people, right? Raquan.
Is there any way this can be done in Spanish, or maybe perhaps?
Well, you're gonna have to get with a Spanish-speaking officer and have them do it.
Not
Officer
me.
Laquan, not him.
Not me.
No.
He's like I tell him all the time. He's useless. Ephraimite with no Spanish. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm talking about speaking barely any Creole, right? But it's all right. Go ahead.
You know, I asked you, was it when you hear about Naphtali and do you know the importance of this, that you come with Peruvian, Asher, and able to show them this?
That's right.
I know. It's why I did it. It's the Spirit of the Most High, yeah. But it's good when you get all these things done in Spanish, so that's why we have.
Pero hablándolo en español, diciéndole, mira, esto tú es, these are your people.
It's important, and this is why we have something called.
That's right.
That's why we have something called Sakari Santos. We have a Sakari Santos page. He's saying that's right. He's not a contributor.
I'm in the chat, bro. I'm in the chat.
I told the other Northern King, I said, kick him out of the chat. I speak entirely more Spanish than him. Get him out of here.
Hey, probably get more
Get Gordito out of here.
That's okay, Chief, my Chief. I'm going to teach my
Get him right, Manessa. We got to remember now, Manessa is the big brother. People forget that, right?
That's right.
I got to protect
the
my
lower tribe.
But you big bro, it's all right.
But he's still my little brother.
That's right. That's right. We
He's
love
my
him.
guitar, but he's still my brother.
That's right, and we love him. So what we gotta understand is it's so beautiful that we have, you know, Sakari Santos, and we have the school we just opened in Mexico. The grand opening is coming soon.
All praises.
We got the Puerto Rico trip, Most High Will, going down in December. So, you know, and we not just, that's a Yasharahla trip. We going, the brothers from Nation of Kings and Priests are going, that was here yesterday. I think they head back up to Tampa, but they was just here yesterday. We all going out there to Puerto Rico, Most High Will, to really blaze this fire, because it's important. You know, the emphasis, there's been an emphasis for a long time on there's been emphasis for a long time on Judah. All right, let's just be real here. You know, in One West, they weren't treating the Levites right, was they?
Bring that out.
They wasn't treating us right. But we got to emphasize all the tribes. We all need to come in. There's 12,000 that's coming out of all 12.
That's right.
And 144,000 coming out of one. It's 12,000 coming out of all 12. So all the tribes need to be reached. We all have hell that we're catching, that we're going through. 12,000 or 12 tribes, And we need to raise them up through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Shem Yahushua. And the Most High is making paths and facilitating us to be able to do it. So that's the powerful thing, right? We just, not only we got the school in Mexico, we got a soldier in Puerto Rico, we also had a soldier in Ecuador. So this is opening doors all up and through Latin America right now through the spirit of the Most High.
That's right.
It's very important, officer.
I was just gonna make a playful banter. Technically, there's 24,000 coming out of Joseph.
Oh, look at Joe. Let me not pray not for these people. Pray not for these people.
That's right, Shatar.
So, but before I close out, any questions on the floor about the presentation?
May I just
Go
say
ahead,
something?
Mom.
You know, brethren, call halal Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai.
That's right.
And I do say this. I think, other than the old man, I think I'm probably the most senior person in this room right now.
I would think so.
Okay, no. Brothers, this is what's been laid on my heart personally. I never thought in my lifetime we could see what's happening right here. Most of you guys are what I would call youngsters by numbers, okay? We never thought, because we talk about this at home, we never thought we would have, the Father would bless us to see in our lifetime what we are seeing. And this is what I want to say to each and every one of you in here. The devil is a liar. And let me tell you something. These are mongrel dogs. They have been studying and they have 500 years because that's where the Father puts it in place. And that is to ready us. That is to ready us. We don't want all the boys up in here. Right. We want soldiers up in here. We want people that can look the devil in his eye and say, you're the devil that the Bible speaks of. And to say with power and authority, because that is the truth, brethren. Understand that? They are studying. Do not underestimate any of them, because I'm watching the pattern. They are studying. They're taking our scriptures, they're lining them up, and they're trying to be devious with them. So it's not the time for us to be arrogant. It's not the time for us to think that we have it all down pat. We need to gird our loins up. We need to dig deeper, and we have to know the truth that no one can tell us otherwise. We are the children of Israel.
That's right.
You don't let anyone, no matter how good they come out and they appear to be, that they can twist the scriptures and bend them and try to confuse you. What you're going to have to hold on to is the truth that the Spirit bears witness that we are the children of God.
That's right.
Understand that. Because if you cannot break the scriptures down the way these demons can twist them, they're going to start putting doubt in your spirit. And that is not of the Most High. Understand this?
That's right.
You have to know deep down in your belly who you are. Depend on that and that alone. Listen, Israel, the Lord your God is one. And there's none beside him, before him, underneath him, beside him. Understand that? Hold on to that truth. Hold on to that truth. Because they're coming good. They're coming out of the woodworks. I'm watching this in my lifetime. Brethren, listen to me. I'm telling you the truth. They're going to come good. Do not let them confuse you. Israel will never be ashamed or confounded. As long as you know who you are. As long as you know to your house who you serve. You hold on to that. Don't let it go. Because I'm telling you straight up, there are things that are coming to me that is very alarming. But who is in control? Come on now. Who is in control? Yahweh. Come on now. And you hold on to that. Do you hear me, brethren?
That's right.
All right. Because it's coming. It's coming. It's cutting short.
That's right.
We're watching it, okay? Understand this. Don't let any doubt come into your spirit. Don't let any doubt come into your mind. Don't let any doubt come into your belly. We are the children of Israel.
Hallelujah.
All right?
Hallelujah.
By His grace.
That's right.
By His grace, we're going to hold on to the end, right? By His grace and be His will. You listening good?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right.
So with that,
That's right.
You know, for young, right? With that, we're going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Abba Yahweh. By Shem Mashiach Yahushua.
Shalom.
We are the children of the one Yahweh.
The chosen.
Ye are the chosen of the one Yahweh. And He has given His laws to us. Now everything belongs to us.
Shalom, what's going on? It's your brother, Chief Priest Alazar Lawyer, aka the Gorilla Hebrew, and I'm just letting y'all know I just dropped my official clothing line, Urban Gorilla. Go to urbangorilla.com right now to check us out, man, and pick something up. There's urbngrla.com. We got all kind of items for men, women, children, even infants, as well as fragrance oil, smell goods. You can also check out Hebrew Israelite Clothing Co., another Sakari business, on Instagram and Facebook. And as always, you can hit up deaconsakari.com to get your plug on the scarves, the music, and the children's Bibles. Thanks for your time. All praise to the Most High. Kwam Yasharahla. Shalom.